Okay, so a few nights ago, I come home from my trip to LA and I noticed there's a lot of water in front of my driveway. And I'm like, oh, it must have been raining while I was out of town, no big deal. So the next day, I come home and I notice that the water is still there and it's mud. And I'm like, dang, what's going on? Okay, oh, no big deal. The third day, I look over and I'm like, oh, there's something going on here. It looks like something is going on with the sprinkler. I gotta call somebody and get it fixed. Now, here's the thing. I live on a lake, so my sprinkler, the water from my sprinklers comes from the lake. It doesn't come from my water bill, like the pipes, it comes from the lake. So I was like, okay, I gotta call somebody and figure out what happened because I see tire marks there and I need to get the sprinkler fixed, no big deal. So today's Friday, so 2 days passed by and I had not called the people about the sprinkler to get it fixed and the water is still accumulating. I'm like, okay. Last night, my son, who's 13, was washing a few dishes, and I don't have my son wash dishes. I don't want him to get used to washing dishes. I want him to do the things that he needs to do in washing dishes. It's not one of them. So he does not have like dish day or kitchen day or things like that. However, the kitchen was already clean and he was up washing out his plate, and I just said, just go ahead and wash your plate. He was like, what's wrong with the water? And I'm like, what do you mean what's wrong with the water? And he's like, look at it. I hadn't realized that the water pressure was low. And I'm like, oh, the water pressure is low because the water outside, the leak that's happening is connected. So I'm like, oh shoot, this is not coming from the lake, the water outside. It's connected to the water that I gotta pay, the water bill. So I'm like, oh my God, thank you for letting me know that. I didn't pay any attention. Thank you, son. And he's like, yeah. And even my daughter was like, what do you mean what's wrong with the water? Neither of us had noticed it. So bright and early the next day, I call the city. I'm like, hey, it's 6 a.m. I'm on their website and they're like, they open at 7. I'm like, at 7:02, I call the city. And I'm like, hey, there's a pipe, something going on out here. I need y'all to come and get it fixed, right? And so the lady was like, okay, ma'am, we'll send somebody out right away. And I thought to myself, I said, here we are 4 days later, and you didn't call to get it fixed until you realized that it was going to directly affect you and your pocketbook, right? Because I paid a water bill. Ain't nobody paying a water bill but me right now. And it took that for you to take action. And so as I was thinking about that today, I was like, ooh, this is so juicy. So there are so many ways that we can talk about this. Number one, sometimes you need a second set of eyes. And we don't realize it because, especially in our community, and when I say our community, I'm talking about the Black folk community, we are taught to keep things close to our chest, to not tell people what we're experiencing, to not be like, don't tell nobody, we just secretive. Whatever the reason is, we're secretive. And so when we do that, we put ourselves in a position of not allowing a second set of eyes and ears on whatever it is that we're going through to give us a different perspective. Example of that is my son looking at the water. As soon as he turned on the water to wash his dishes, he's like, what's going on with the water? It had been 4 days. Me and my daughter, we taking showers, we washing dishes, we doing everything. Nobody noticed anything until my son, a man, right, said, what's going on with the water? And so in your life, I want you to ask yourself, what's something that you've been experiencing and you feel like you're alone, but you're really alone because you're keeping yourself alone. Like, you really could use a second set of eyes, and a second set of eyes oftentimes is a change in perspective. That's why it's so important to get counsel. That's why it's so important to, and I'm not talking about regular counsel. I'm not talking about people who want to gossip and talk about you. I'm talking about wise counsel, people who have your best interests at heart. I'm talking about professionals. I'm talking about confidants. I'm talking about accountability buddies. It's so important that we have these people in our inner circle if we want to do better and go higher. So that's the first takeaway from this experience. The second takeaway is you need to find your why. If there's an area of your life where you're not doing what you know you need to do, if something's been on your to-do list for the longest time, if you've been saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, soon finna come one day, but you haven't done it yet, it is likely because your why isn't strong enough. It doesn't affect you enough. Case in point, I came home Sunday night. By Thursday, I'm Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm like, I'm gonna call him. It ain't a big deal. The water's coming from the lake. It ain't affecting me. As soon as my son was like, oh, no, the water pressure, And I made the connection. I said, oh, this is affecting me. Less than 24 hours later, hey, come out here, we got a problem. So when I knew what my why was, why I wanted to get the water solution fixed, I wanted to get it fixed because it was going to affect my pocketbook. Like, my water bill already is what it is a month now. For 4 days, the water just been coming up out the ground. I can imagine what it's going to be. Let me put a stop to this. Let me take some action. So if there are things that you're not doing, if there are things that you're not accomplishing, if there are things that you say you want to do but you haven't done yet, I encourage you to look at your why and ask yourself, do you really want to do this? Why do you want to do this? And oftentimes when you look at your why, the first why that comes up is not the real reason, right? So you may say, oh, well, I want to do this because, let me give you an example. You may say, oh, I want a man because I want to have somebody to go out and have fun with. Well, if you want a man to go out and have fun, you don't need a man to do that. You can go out and have fun. Okay, well, let me go out and have fun. Okay, you're going out and have fun and you don't have a man. Okay, why do you want a man again? Oh, well, I want somebody to take out my trash. Okay, you know you can get somebody else to take out your trash. I remember when I first was transitioning after my divorce many years ago, and something was wrong with my toilet. And I was like, dang, I need a husband for this. And Spirit said, no, you don't. You need a plumber. Because a husband is more than somebody to unclog your toilet, right? And so that was a part of my inner work that I started doing and saying, okay, why do I want a husband? Why do I want this? So what I'm explaining to you is that oftentimes the first reason that comes up as it relates to what you think your why is, it's going to take some drilling down. Don't be afraid to drill down. Right? You should be the one that's questioning yourself. Like, why does this matter? But why? And if this happens, and then what? And then what? And then what? And then when you go through that process and get radically real with yourself about what it is you want and why you want the things you want, then you'll find yourself taking action. Until next time, peace.